Welcome to the Amigas Down Under podcast. I'm Doug. I'm joined with Adrian. I'm joined with Seb.
Oh, yeah.
How you going, guys?
Good, bro.
Yeah, not bad, mate.
Doing
How you
well?
doing, Dougie?
Yeah, all right.
At your age?
Pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Excited for today.
Nice and chill.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Give us a like, listen, follow on our Instagram page, Amigas Down Under Podcast. Send us any message you like with questions or anything you want to touch base on the show. We're always around on our socials, so get amongst it. Yo.
Yeah, sweet. So again, Amigas Down Under podcast talking about our lives growing up in Australia, first generation Australians, and having fun while we're doing this. And continuing on Amigas Down Under series, we have our next guest for the month of May, celebrating Mother's Day, Krystal. How you going, Krystal?
Yo, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on.
Let's have a drink with Krystal. And we've got something special, Dougie, don't we, for Krystal? Krystal, are you
Yeah,
right to pop
Krystal.
that one open for
I'm
us?
scared to look at
Hold
what
it up
you've
to-
served me
Nah,
tonight.
just
What is it?
Oh,
don't
okay.
take it out of the package. You just crack it open and put it in your mouth.
You're lucky I'm a beer drinker.
That's what she said. Go. Crack it. Go.
It's going to ruin my manicure.
Oh,
Crack
yeah.
yours.
Age, what do you got over there?
I've got Mosey Fruity Beer,
Oh.
lime flavour, natural.
Right, look, you
lime
know
Van
what? I really
cans.
don't care. Just open it.
Crack.
All right, KS, let's crank it. Go. Have a go. See what you think.
It's a decent sharp beer.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Well done. Not bad.
First
What is
fan,
it?
Fosters.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, it's not Kosciuszko, which is kind of the
Oh.
current beer I'm on now.
Oh, yeah. Kosciuszko's nice.
Yeah. Good old Cosy. But
I was actually going to
Fosters
get
will
one
do.
of those today, but
Yeah.
hmm.
Well, cheers.
Cheers,
Thank you again
everyone.
for
Thank
coming
you.
on. Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers. What are we drinking, Seb? Me. by myself.
We will be cranking. Well, you're cranking already,
Mm.
but we'll be shortly once the ice gets here. The Chivas 12 year for myself. But as always, my trusty two is new in a can.
Two is new
Good
in
old Two is new.
In a can.
in a can. Sweet.
KS, what have you been up to lately? Any big news?
Just working, life, kids.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Can I ask how you getting to work these days?
I treated myself with a new car.
Oh,
Wow.
yes.
That is something new.
Very new.
Yes.
Very new, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something after a long time that I thought I would do just for me after years and years of the hustle. So yeah,
Working your ass off.
absolutely.
Yeah. And paying dividends now. That car's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Can't
really
wait
good.
to crash it.
Oh,
Top insurance.
Yeah,
Go nuts.
buddy.
Don't do anything in life without
hey,
insurance.
That's right.
did you put over 40s on your claim?
I'm not in that box yet, Doug. So I'm
I still
gonna
included,
take
obviously, over 35s, right?
that. Just.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Last time we caught up together, I ate some Oz chicken.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How was that chicken?
Chicken was good.
Yeah,
Oz
KS?
chicken. I reckon I'll plug it. Oz chicken Woodcroft.
Nah, it's what's it called?
No, Chicken
No,
King in
sorry.
Woodcroft.
King.
My bad.
Yeah,
I'm a
competition over there.
Woodcroft Chicken King.
Yeah, she's from the other side of the tracks.
Yeah.
She's a
Woodcroft
Chicken King girl.
Yeah.
Sorry, my
Yeah.
bad.
CKG,
Woodcroft.
CK girl, Chicken King girl.
That's really good. I've tried their chicken for a while now, so it's really, really good.
It was
Pretty tasty.
it was
Really
good to
schmick.
have the
I can still taste it.
the proper chickens. It's probably still on your mic. Stop deep throating your mic, and then you might not taste it anymore. But yeah, the chicken salt with the vinegar in there, just beautiful, beautiful.
Adrian, can you start us off?
I don't know how I know Krystal.
How do we know?
Let's really be honest here. I don't think we really know each other. I think I know your wife more, even though I met you first, than what I know you.
How did you meet Adrian?
Yeah,
Yeah, party?
I love that.
The sigh.
I love
Well,
that. Yeah,
It
that's
was a party,
everyone's-
wasn't it?
Everyone's reaction.
No.
to it.
Hey man,
Yeah.
let the guest
I
talk.
think-
Let the guest talk, man. Shut
I
up.
think I'd met him a few times, but he's a man of few words.
Right.
If it's not a moment of comfortableness, but I think I properly met Adrian when he came to work for me in one of our previous companies, and then came to realize that he was related to another friend of mine, Lydia, Seb, your wife.
My wife. okay.
And then from there, I probably got about 10 words out of him in that period of time, and
Including
it wasn't.
when he was
Hey
working.
man, I
Including when he was
fucking
working.
killed that fucking interview. Don't I? Come on now.
I will say that's probably the most I've probably ever heard
Thank
you
you.
speak.
Thank you very much.
And then came to realize that he was related to Lydia, so he got a pass. he absolutely got a pass for
She wiped
being
your
related.
ass and got you a job.
Yes, so you can thank her for that. No, but in honesty, I'd met him probably mostly through work, and then over time, big fan of his wife, Carla. So that was another
awesome.
pass. So I don't know if I can really say that I know Adrian just yet, but on the surface, this is pretty cool.
It's only been like 6 years.
He's a man of very few words,
He
I have to
is.
say.
Did we not like see each other, meet each other before?
You
Because I knew of you, right? Like,
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
don't
you-
say
of
very
you.
At
much.
the parties,
whoa,
yeah.
what?
Or all she would see is some piss bloke having a great time.
No, not even. I don't think I ever
Oh, you
saw
don't
him
remember
drunk
that?
until
Oh, holy
we
shit.
really got to know each other. It was just like a hello and heads down, and he would just
Not
Fucking
even. He wouldn't even say
bowing.
hello. He'd flick the head.
Oh,
Yeah.
He flicks the
I
head.
used to
It's
bow,
like-
apparently.
It's
Yeah,
like a,
yeah. He
hello.
flicks the head up or down.
yeah.
Down or up. It's or down.
I think when I fully learnt about his personality was after he'd already left the company we were working for. And he reminds me very much of like a Dave Hughes moment when he loses it. If he's really
Oh,
passionate about
yeah.
something and you give him a topic
Oh,
and he's
man.
triggered, I was like, oh, Hughes is losing it.
Just-
Yay.
yeah.
Absolutely.
There is
Yeah.
a segment coming, Doug, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a segment
Oh.
There's a
coming
segment
up.
incoming based on that. Thank you, KS, for
Yeah.
segueing into that. Yeah.
There is a segment coming in, but here we go.
But yeah, that would be how I've met Adrian. I'd say, yeah, through Lydia and through work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Well,
about
my-
you, Doug?
Oh, just touching on Krystal's comment there. My kids actually, when they describe Adrian, they actually say he's a passionate man. He's really passionate about everything he says. He's so passionate.
I fucking love that, eh?
Yeah.
I fucking love it because that is correct.
It's
See, he just said it with passion.
And
There
he
was
just
so much passion in that.
stared
That
at
comes-
me.
So much conviction.
He stared at me when he said it because you knew what was brewing. Hey, I was just gonna put shit on you,
Yeah.
and he knew it. Look at him. He's looking away like I'm gonna punch this.
Because it's true. Because everyone's, oh, you're fucking angry, you're moody, you yell too much, you're drunk all the time. Nah, man, it's fucking from
It's
here.
passion.
It's from the heart. It's,
It's
everything I
the
say.
MS-13 shit. Yeah.
But even if you've been drinking, I don't see you as drunk because it's like this whole same level.
Because every
I
time
feel
she
like
sees you,
If I had to like rank him as like when we work together as an employee, I could say he's consistent. Whether it goes up or down, I don't know, but he's consistent.
oh, brilliant, brilliant.
Oh, nice. All right. How do you know me?
Oh, it's by chance, I think. I would say that I'd met you through mutual friends at, the good old house parties.
Mhm.
And I would just say you were chilled as fuck. So that's my vibe.
Yeah, he is a chilled man.
Yeah, very.
Yeah,
And
very
then I've
much so.
only realised over, I think it would probably be only, I could be wrong, maybe 3-4 years, that I realised we do very similar work. So that makes sense why we're very chilled.
Making bread. Fucking hell.
That goes to show how much you know.
I don't know the least amount of what this fucker does.
For all,
all I know-
Is it like a Barney from How I Met Your
Yes.
Mother, where it's like
Yeah.
nobody
Yes.
knows what they do?
or
Yeah.
Friends Chandler, like no
Yes.
one actually knows his job
Absolutely.
title.
If he doesn't put numbers in
Liz
the
still
computer-
laughs about it because Liz goes, "What does he do for work?" And I'm always like,
Chandler.
he works like in a company and he does. I have no fucking idea.
No, it does
If he
start
doesn't
It's
with-
put-
the hardest type of work to describe what we
Yeah.
would
If
do.
he
Well-
doesn't put numbers in the computer, Coles don't get their bread. That's
Yeah.
all I know.
Yeah,
Well, I don't do that anymore. I've moved on.
He's moved
like
up.
2 years
Absolutely
ago.
moved on like a while.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
moved on.
from Doug, obviously, knowing Seb through his wife, and we worked together probably a decade ago, and it was just by chance that I'd met your wife, Seb.
yeah.
And then over the years, she was one of the employees that was probably real deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, good or bad, we still got through it and still
Yep.
performed as a business. So, and you were just the fries
The
with
tag
the order.
along. Yeah, the tag
You were
along.
just the fries with the order.
So, you opened the bag and went, "Oh, they threw in a nugget. Oh, I got a
Yeah,
large
that probably
meal."
makes more sense. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I was going to say is when you get the fries, but they're shit. They're soggy and cold, and
Well, yeah.
there's no salt,
Well,
no
yeah.
substance. There's nothing to them.
Exactly.
Or
That's the
maybe
leftover.
there's too much salt because it can get salty.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, yeah. I'm cut now.
Oh, you want the drink?
Yeah, can you pass? I don't know why I whispered that. It's
Yeah, I
part
don't
of the
know.
fucking show. Can you pass the scotch? Thank you.
It's Scotch.
Gosh.
Oh,
gosh.
sorry. I'm
gosh.
so Aussified I can't say it that way.
All right,
Born
moving
in
on.
Gosh.
Yes.
So, were you born in Australia or overseas?
I was born here. I was actually born in Paddington Women's Hospital. And when I saw my birth certificate, I actually thought I was born in a jail. I said to my mum, I was like, why does it say Paddington Women's Hospital? Like, were you like locked up when I was born? But there was,
Yeah, there was one. Yeah.
there was a hospital there. And yeah,
Next to
so
the
I'm
jail.
born here. Yeah.
That's actually where I think when my sister was born too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, same
there
thing,
you go.
Women's Hospital.
Yeah. So yeah, I was born there. So yeah,
Yeah.
True blue.
Any siblings?
I have 4 brothers, so I'm one of 5. I'm the second eldest. So my older brother is half Chinese, so my mum's first marriage. And then from me and my other 3 brothers, we're half Filipino.
Sorry,
Ah.
half what?
Filipino?
Say it again.
No,
Do it again.
absolutely not.
Filipino? Is that what you mean?
No.
Do it again. Do it again.
I am so Aussified, I cannot even try.
So there's 4 brothers.
Yes, there is. You do it better than what I could ever do it.
It's because of all the time I spend with your husband
Yes.
that you don't know about.
But I do.
Oh.
I have 4 brothers, and what's interesting is like I often say, and I think it was a request I had for my episode to be called "My Mum Had a Thing for Asians in the '80s."
Hey, don't knock it. It'll probably happen.
I would absolutely
Yeah.
appreciate it if it did.
Let's do it. Well, they can dive into that one.
Yes,
Yeah.
Alright,
but
so you-
I'm the only girl, so just me.
what was that? What's the math again, Seb? She
What's
was what? The second
Oh,
second oldest,
that was fun.
second youngest.
She was the second youngest. I don't even remember. Was
Second,
that
I was fourth.
No,
yeah.
the you would have heard by now if you're listening. I fucked up the math on
Carmen's
on
episodes.
episode so badly. I was like second from the top. I don't know what I was saying. Like left of the middle, look left or whatever.
So not only did you not do English very well, you
Yeah.
also failed at maths.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Krystal.
All right. So your background is a mixture of
So my mum's Australian and my dad's Filipino.
Filipino.
Yeah, your dad is fucking awesome.
My dad's a character, that's for sure.
You know what? He'd be brilliant on this, but I don't know if we could bleep out enough. I don't think there's enough bleeps in the world for when that gentleman talks. He's brilliant.
Look,
It's-
I already tick explicit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
He
funny
is
you
so
say
funny,
that
man.
because growing up, if you had said to the other siblings, like I'd say to my brother, "Oh, you're being silly," and my dad would lose it. So calling someone silly or stupid was like no go.
You see?
However, if you go, "You're fucked," he was always a fucking kind of guy. So might have to bleep me out. But if you said you're silly, like he's ready to slap faces, going, "You've said something terrible." But the F word, because he was sort of trying to assimilate with like the Aussies,
That's awesome.
Oh,
he
man.
absolutely used
The
the
F word or the P word?
P
F
word.
word.
No.
Oh
no.
yeah, fuck no.
No, bro, he says bucking.
Fucking
It's-
yeah, he
it's
absolutely does.
Oh,
Dude, it was the best.
No,
I
it's
sat.
funny.
Remember when the concert we went to? What was it?
Chili
Chili
Peppers.
Peppers.
Yep.
And he's trying. He came in. What a legend.
He was losing his shit because I called my dad last
kept
minute to
asking
pick us up. We had
Yeah.
the trains were a 2-hour away, and I was like, my dad doesn't live far from Homebush. I'll call him. And to this day, even at my age, at
Oh, he's the best.
38, I could call him and he would come and get me. But he lost his shit because everyone thought he was an Uber driver. So he's driving around Homebush looking for us, and he's like, "Oh, these fucking people thought I was an Uber." Blah blah blah.
And he's in the car, right? And so he's driving his Camry.
Yes, he spuds
Oh,
up his
that's-
cigarette.
That's
He's
a
got a
standard.
dart.
That's a
Bro,
standard.
He's got it window down, aircon cranking, dart hanging out. He's waving his left hand around with his
Gold watch.
gold Rolex sort of watch, just like 3 sizes too big, so it's flapping about his little filler arm. And he's like, and he's bucking. Every second word was bucking. And I kept saying, "I'm not bucking Uber." Oh man, he's a
God.
fucking legend.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's
fucking
amazing.
legend.
I mean, my dad has actually been here since he was like 18, and surprisingly, he had only went back when he got married after him and my mum separated. That was the first time he'd been back to Philippines. So I don't understand why at his age he's still fresh as fuck.
Yeah.
Because he half speaks in Tagalog and English, and I don't speak the language, so I'm like guessing constantly. I was like, "You've been here since you were 18. How,
sure your
how
English
has
is
this not
better."
changed?"
His accent. I mean, I'm sure there's fresher accents, but it's actually really fresh. His accent, it
Yeah.
really is. Like,
Yeah.
he's been. You think, he's been here a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah.
His
he's
best
the man.
catchphrase, if he was to meet new people, he'd be just like, "Hello, mate," and that's just his sign of affection if he calls you mate.
I guess in saying that, I got to think back now. My parents, when they came to Australia, they would have been 24 years old. So if he was 8, came here when he was 18,
Yeah.
my parents still have that accent.
Yeah.
It's still,
Yeah.
it's still engraved and that doesn't go away. So
Yeah.
I
But
guess it kind of makes sense a little bit, maybe.
The weirdest thing about the accents is he married my mum, and my mum's white as anything, grew up in the country, and she has an accent.
What accent? What kind of?
Like a Philo accent. She
Really?
summons us to the table in Tagalog, and she's like blonde, white as anything. And she literally is like a little Filipino woman.
yeah.
And she's full Aussie.
Full Aussie,
She-
grew
Oh,
up like down there young and yes, like she is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, Queen. Yeah.
Your dad made a real impression on that, eh?
Yes.
He's holding back. Look at him. Well, all of a sudden you're shy, dog.
I will say this is the first podcast my mum has actually listened to when she
Oh,
listened
really?
Oh,
to
what
the
a shout
Mr.
out.
Julius episode.
Shout out
shout
to
Tell her what shorts I'm wearing.
Oh,
Tell her.
she will die knowing that he's in footy shorts today.
why will she die?
She just loves my legs.
Oh,
Do you remember when I
wow.
was painting
Wow.
your kitchen in Glendale? Look, she's gone. Have you ever seen her blush?
Because I know she's going to listen to this and she's going to be like, why did you talk about it?
No. Well, let's just say she followed me around while I was on that ladder the whole time.
Waiting for something to drop. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Lucky it was cold, so nothing fell out. It's very cold.
Catch you.
Shut up. It works.
Even if it was hot, she'll be waiting forever.
And then it'll be done quickly.
All right. Have you ever been? Well, your mum's from Australia, so you've been to Australia, obviously. But have you been to the Phils?
Yes. The first time I went actually was my in-laws were nice enough to take me just after I graduated from high school. So I did Philippines there. That was a culture shock back then. And then I took my kids back in 2018.
Oh, how was that?
That was really good because we also went with my brother and his girlfriend. So it was kind of nice to go with our crew. And my family back home on my dad's side are quite accommodating. So we were very well looked after in that sense. So
Yeah.
The story you went back to the Phils with your kids and stuff.
Mm.
I'm sure we know
Yeah.
the person you went with.
Great minds.
And
yes.
Who's that?
who's this guy?
Mr. Julius?
Mr.
Is that the group you're
Mr.
referring to?
Julius.
Yes.
He's got to be one of the favourites so far.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't need to fluff his feathers anymore, do we?
Nah,
Do
that's
we
your
really?
job. That's your job when you get
Oh, I
home.
don't know.
Mr.
I don't know
Mr.
about
First
that.
Guest. Mr.
Rusty
First Guest.
trombone. Anyway, go on.
Yes.
Was
Yeah.
it- how did you put it? Mr. Asian Persuasion.
Asian persuasion.
Oh,
Julie you, Julie I,
Julie me, Julie you, Julie,
Julie
us.
us.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's out.
that was ringing in my head after Anna Bay holiday. For sure. Yes, Julius. I will say we've known each other for 25 years. So, I often refer to the fact that I've dated and married like 5 different people because it was like the teenage, then it's like the early 20s, and then it was like, oh, okay, now we're studying and now we're working, and
Yeah.
the dad Julius. The dad Julius version is probably the best version, I think, by far.
Well, that's the one that I've come to know. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
High school. Yeah.
High
High
school.
school. I stalked that motherfucker right there tomorrow.
All right. So moving from Philippines, we're in Australia now. Any standout memories of your childhood here in Australia?
Stand-up memories. I think growing up with my mum being Australian and my dad Filipino, it was quite funny to see the kids where we grew up. I mean, I grew up in an age where you could ride your bike anywhere, you dump your bike on the street, and you know it's not going to be stolen. But there was this one point, because our house sort of was like second from the corner block, everyone would, congregate at our place. And my dad was fired up. He's tired from work, and we were all hanging out the front. And majority of them were dudes. And growing up for me, having 4 brothers, I was normally hanging around with more guys than there was girls. And my dad was fired up, being the only girl of his family. Runs out with his, I call it a Mexican mullet. I know my dad's not Mexican, but he looked like a Mexican. He came running outside. He takes his thong off and he goes, "Get off my front lawn," in his Philippine accent. "I know thong fu." And in that moment, I was mortified. I was like, oh my gosh. And he was kind of being funny, but he was trying to assert himself, saying like, get your shit off my lawn.
Assert
Like,
dominance.
yeah. And he
What a
thought that was it. And he did
funny,
this
yeah.
all while he was in basketball shorts back in my dad's day were a lot shorter than what they are today.
Freaking oath. 80s.
No shirt,
Yeah.
walking out there with his mullet and his thong, telling them
Yeah,
that he knows thong fu,
That's
get
brilliant.
off the lawn.
I think I'm starting to understand why your mum likes the short shorts. It's clicking together there. I think it was.
No,
yeah.
She's a short shorts fan.
that's
For
brilliant.
herself and others.
Thong fu. That is
Yeah,
freaking
thunk
brilliant.
food. That's
Yeah.
great.
But I
That's
do.
awesome.
I miss that sort of time where the kids could go out and
Yep.
there'd be no worry in the world, where you could just ride your bike. I think I remember my brother before starting kindergarten was out in his rollerblades, like just up and down the streat, and there was no worries. I
No
just
worries
wouldn't
in
do
the
that now with my kids,
Yeah.
which sucks. Yeah.
What area did you grow up in?
I grew up in Plumpton. There used to be this kind of rival because the neighborhood I lived in had a really cool basketball court in Kingston. And then there was also a kind of semi-basketball court. Julius will kill me because he's from this suburb in Glendenning. But my basketball court was better. So I'm a Kingston girl.
Yeah, buddy. So basketball, I mean, without sounding too stereotypical, was
Cliche.
always big.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always.
It's probably the only sport I'll sit through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a good sport though.
It's
It really is.
fast-paced. It's quick.
Yeah.
And the blokes are better looking than NRL. Sorry, guys.
Oh, that's all right.
That's all right. We don't play either one. So
I don't watch it. I do watch it for a couple of blokes, but for the most part, it's for the sport.
there we go.
But yeah, definitely basketball.
You touch like growing up. That I love that. I've seen the meme, but it's so true. The whole lights come on. That's when you know you got to go home and eat dinner. But your schooling growing up, how was that in Australia for you?
For me, it was quite different because my parents are very different in how I live my life today as a parent. So my mum was your traditional stay-at-home mum. She looked after us. She picked us up from school every day. And my dad sort of was always sort of out at work. So when it came to homework and things like that and studying, if my dad was home doing the project, he'd get to probably a couple of motions telling us, you need to do this, this, and this, and then would give up and do our projects. So I had like the best shit. My dad was quite, he was very smart, but when it came to certain topics for like an assignment, my dad would smash those projects out.
Oh,
so
nice.
Nice.
credit to my dad for
Yeah.
like getting me my passes
I was
for
gonna say, so-
everything.
Yeah.
So your distinctions, high distinctions, etc.
For my dad.
Yeah, buddy, what
Yeah,
a champion.
He's a very
Nice.
smart man.
Yeah. Yeah. With your dad, I see. I've met him a few times before. We've known each other, as you alluded on earlier, through lids for 15 odd years at least. I met him a few times before, but I've met him more recently and had more conversations with him recently. And I know your mum as well. And although I know you said a very different upbringing, she still works very hard in what she does, as in, at home, all that stuff.
Mhm.
But your old man, he's got a massive work ethic and very proud of what he does.
Yes.
That resonates in you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think to be honest, I did get a lot of my work ethic to like push hard, no hours, you don't clock in and out from my dad.
Yeah.
But majority of my work ethic would be from my in-laws.
Mm.
I moved in with my in-laws at probably fresh out of high school.
Mhm.
At the time, my parents were planning on relocating to another state for work, and they took me with open arms, but they worked long hours and shifts just to provide for their family. So I've always learnt to work. So I've actually never been completely unemployed from the age of 12. So
Yeah.
I took my first job at 12 in my older brother's dad's Chinese restaurant. That was my first ever job. So even in that, like, I think I got a lot of it, to be honest, from my in-laws. But yes, my dad's probably
Yeah.
a big part of that, where
Yeah.
you just don't stop. You don't clock in and clock out as
Yeah.
such. Yeah.
They're the little extra mile. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the people that, especially as obviously all our parents and migrant parents, they just came here and just worked hard as best they could to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
where they are now.
Yeah,
right?
bloody yeah. Because you look at other countries, like you look at, all right, so Philippines, Salvador, Chile, you can go and work and work and work and work. You get nothing for it.
And
You
do
know?
you know what's really interesting is there's no stature in the type of job. So
Yeah.
I did 15 years in employment services. So you often face people that go, I'm going to stay unemployed until this dream job happens.
Yeah, exactly.
However, when you're influenced by people that work hard. The stature of the job or the type of job doesn't matter.
That's right.
So at one point in my life, I was working in a Chinese restaurant. While I was studying, I was working in 2 fish and chip shops. And then I look forward to where I am today, 30 years on in that, is that I was never chasing a title. I was chasing fulfillment and what I wanted outside of your 9-to-5 job. And I think you do get that from migrant parents where they go, it's not about the stature of what you do for a living. It's how you treat your family when you get home. And that was probably a big part in it. Like you're never chasing for the next job title. You're chasing for what's going to give you that work-life balance in that family.
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, well said.
Yeah.
Definitely well said.
Well, just sorry, Doug. Just going on that work thing. You've kicked ass. As I said, I've known you for a little while, but you've kicked ass. I'm interested to know, and I guess this is touching on Amigos Down Under and being migrant, but you've got the challenge of not just being, I guess, from a migrant background, but in a lot of the roles you do, in the positions that you go for and whatnot, it is, I mean, it's better now, but it's male dominated.
Absolutely.
It's better, and that's the thing. And I love that reaction because it's better now than even it was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's still fucking male dominated.
Yeah.
That challenge for you, you always smash it out, but how's that been for you? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I've made 2, I guess, self challenges for myself over my entire working career. Is 1, I wanted to be paid just as much as the male to be at the same table. And 2 was that education didn't matter. If you thought that I could do the job and sit at that same table, I didn't need a certificate to do that. So what I've achieved today was 1, I was very much guided going, it didn't matter what sex you were. If you could do the job, you'd get paid. It didn't matter what education you had behind you if you could fulfill the job and the capabilities. So they are still 2 things that I drive myself. And it's not to say that I don't appreciate, the opposite sex and how they achieve their careers. But I do think that, I've worked a long time to know that someone in the same role as me could be on 20, 30 grand more than me. And I would call those sorts of things out as such, not directly, but, try to prove that. But the education piece is probably bigger than it is, male versus female. It's the access to education and being able to earn the income that you earn. And that's one thing for me is I often say that is I don't need to sit through an MBA as such, which many people have offered me to do, to be able to sit at that same table to achieve what I do. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. And that, again, as you were saying, the schooling, the education, that goes a lot on the background too.
Yeah.
On your background,
and for
where
me,
you're from, where you come from.
I'm one of 5 kids, so in the 90s, it wasn't easy to access education. Like if I think about my younger brothers that did their HSC, you got bonus points just from being from a single mum household or, living in Western Sydney. When I did my studies, you didn't get those extra points. It's like what you achieved is what you got.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to see that people see the struggles to do that. But for me, that's kind of like, well, I just want to keep going and go above all of that without needing to pay somebody to tell me that I could be at that table.
Yeah, that's true.
100%.
All right, Krystal. I gotta ask you this question. I've been asked a lot of people. Did you go to ESL, Krystal?
Oh, fuck it.
Absolutely not.
There we go.
Okay, so bitch.
Well, I mean, for me, like obviously being born here, my mum's Australian. We actually didn't speak a lot of the language. It's funny that my mum adapted to the Tagalog language, as I was saying earlier. Like she would summon us to the table in Tagalog, but we never spoke it in our home. And the only time I ever heard another language was when my great grandma would be babysitting us because they were all out playing pokies for the night. So for me, I was fine with my English skills at this point in life.
So your mum learned Tagalog from your dad, obviously.
Yeah. So when she, finished her first marriage, she actually moved in with my grandparents, and she learnt how to cook from my great grandmother. So she cooks amazing Filipino food, and then she learnt the basics of the language that was able to have a family function and incorporate her in it.
Yeah, nice. That's really cool. So let's go back to your schooling. How was your schooling? Like, obviously, you was in this area. How was it? Was it multicultural where you went?
Yeah, look, I went to a high school that had all walks of life, but it was in the 90s, so people did tend to stick together. but I didn't really fit in. I found this also with my brother that's just below me. He's like, you couldn't really hang out with just the Philo crew or just the Aussie crew or so on. So we kind of created this misfit group of, or a collection of people, I like to say, of that. But I'm also like a very non-traditionalist. So, you know, in the 90s, it was like you had your girl group or you had your nationality group. I was very much like color outside the lines. I obviously like you as a person, regardless of your nationality or, you know, if you're a boy or a girl. So we always created groups that were just eclectic, if I could describe it the best way.
Nice.
There's some similarities with her and our previous guest. You know, I don't see colour, I see people.
Oh, best believe I saw colour and
there
nationality.
you go, yeah.
We can't call that. 90s were the 90s. Like,
Yeah.
I think even just with race, sexuality, all of that, we were still that last borderline group that didn't really have that exposure of what it is today. So I think, yeah, you did very much see it, but I consciously made a choice of what I wanted in my friend group. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. It's very different. Like I said, as we mentioned before, it was like when I went to school, it was very segregated. There was sections. Obviously, everyone mixed around, but it was very segregated. So you always knew, like, there was the Italians, there were Asians, the Wogs, and there was a mixture of other people. But yeah, it's interesting to hear the different ways that how everyone saw it, how everyone grew up, experienced it.
I know Age said in your school there wasn't heaps, hey, like of Latins.
I was only one.
Yeah. But
A lot of Asians.
groups even, not overly.
No, they're all mixed. They're more separated into sports. So you had the b-ballers, you had the footy kids, you had the soccer kids,
Yep.
and then everyone would just be a mix in there. But then that was all it. Like everyone was just mixed.
Yeah.
But none were Latin. It was just me.
That's like what your wife said last episode, is that she was as well the only Latin.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you said there was pretty multicultural.
Yep.
Your school was in the West.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, we
Well,
were in Plumpton
yeah.
High School.
Plumpton
I don't mind
High,
saying that. Yeah.
And you were
St. Andrews.
Yeah, so we're not far.
Yeah.
No.
Not far at
Quakers
all.
Hill.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the main, I think the big difference there too was, you all male school. Is
No,
that
no,
right?
no.
Oh, yours was
Co-ed.
Yeah.
co-ed,
It's a
and
co-ed
it was
school.
still a sport thing.
Yeah.
Oh wow, and
Yeah.
yours was groups.
It was definitely groups.
A lot of
but-
Islanders
but
though, yeah.
I grew up in an age where there was also a lot of like gangs. So
Yeah.
like it
Yeah,
also
true.
depended on who you were affiliated with. But I think for me and my best friend in the high school, her and I were always ones to like make friends with everybody. So we didn't, and even a lot of people hated us for that, but we were just so carefree that we were also like, we were not bothered if yesterday we hung out with this particular person and tomorrow we're going to hang out with another.
Yeah.
And it actually allowed us to be a lot more resilient. Like, I mean, I still speak to her today, and for a short stint we did work together. But her and I are very resilient with, all of those types of things. It wasn't, really a thing for us.
Yeah. But speaking of friends that you've known for a while, let's send a little shout out down to Tassie.
Oh, yes.
We don't have to say name. It's all
Yeah.
good. But as long as
She'd probably love it.
oh well, if you know her better than any of us.
I was encouraging you guys to probably do an interview because she's obviously from migrant parents from England.
Right.
But we met by chance. She was one of my first roommates when I moved out of home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you absolutely would have a ball with her
Yeah,
on this
she's a
podcast.
lot of fun,
Her
yeah.
and her partner, brilliant. Like, they are good value to have banter with. But she's supported and listened to your podcast from the very beginning. And
Big shout out.
Has
to,
she heard the
to-
Tassie joke yet?
here's an interesting story with her. So when she first moved in with us, our group is so diverse. So we've got people from Zimbabwe versus Philippines versus Vietnam, a big group. Scottish. We've got a friend that's from Uruguay. Mind you, she didn't identify as Latin, and it was like, I have
yeah.
a Latin friend.
Yeah. I know.
And when we were all living together, it was probably about 6 months in, and we used to give her a lot of shit about, being from Tasmania. It's like, did you bring your passport? You're from overseas. And she's sitting with a big, diverse group. 6 months on, she was like, we were having a conversation, much like what you guys do in your podcast, about where we grew up, where our parents came from. And then she realized through the group that majority had not been born in Australia. She was like, you motherfuckers, like, you are actual immigrants, and you were calling me an immigrant from coming from Tasmania. And, you know, that's like an ongoing joke, but it was just funny because we obviously all, you know, hung out and loved each other as friends, and we didn't really point that out until we had a serious conversation. Like, you were actually born from overseas, and she's born in Tasmania. You know, she wasn't even born in Tasmania, let's be honest.
She
grew up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was very interesting to see her work with such a diverse group around that.
True. We still have to cross the sea
You do
to
have
get
to
to
still
Australia.
cross the sea.
Where was that? Was that the Mount Druitt one?
Yeah, we had like that little 2-story unit in
how
Mount
good
Druitt.
was that freaking unit, man?
It was a brand new unit we'd moved into.
Yeah.
It was interesting because I had actually met her. Very, very weird story, but I'd met her through my mum's dating history because after my parents separated, my mum was out there on the telecafe moments. I don't know if it's not
Telecafe.
It's not your Tinder
I
swipe
remember
left
that.
or right.
Wow,
It's like you
yes.
dial up and you listen to.
Yeah, I remember that.
And hi.
Hi, yes.
You have to-
Doug.
Did she have to submit a VHS?
Yes. I would probably say yes to it, but I don't actually know.
Okay.
But I met Juanita as my roomie, who's now like my sister, through someone my mum had dated, and he had his niece in town and was like, she's here from Tasmania, like take her out and do stuff. And she was probably, she's a few years younger than me, so she wasn't even 18 yet. And we took her out on, took her to the races and did all that stuff. And she decided to move to Sydney, and we just got a unit together. So that was my first move out of home moment. And her and I did that together in our early 20s.
Now, growing up in Australia, we touched on it a little bit beforehand, but is there anything in your childhood that just stands out? Say you went back to visit where you used to live, where you grew up. What would be the first thing that came up as a memory?
There was a moment in time. So out of my 4 brothers, I have 2 gay brothers, and as we were growing up and, you know, understanding what that is, the youngest of us all actually had come out first and was more his authentic self. But there was this moment in time growing up where we had this conversation where we were like, what is it, so 3 out of 5 kids like dick, and I was like, huh? There's only 2 of you that are gay. I forgot to count myself. And so, like, in our family, we absolutely spoke about everything because, you know, you're growing up in this time where things are changing, and being that there's 5 kids, the age range for us is quite big. So you're going through all these different generations. But that's one thing in a moment in time in my teenage life where it was like I had to, like, figure out what was just said. But literally, yeah. I mean, I think for us, like, not only did we have to deal with the fact that we were what we used to call nice half castes, we also were, you know, working through the fact that not only were we mixed race, but we had different sexuality in our family. We had a whole lot of different things. And so that's what I think today makes me more open to people being their authentic self, whether it's be their cultural background or who they are. But there's so many different ranges. When you come from a big family, you got to tap into all of that. Yeah. Like, you got to tap into all those different personalities and moments. So, like, it wasn't just for us knowing that my dad migrated here and had, like, all of these things. It was also the fact that I had 4 other siblings that dealt with it in different decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just on that, you're a mixed race. What did you face? Did you face anything in race, like bullying or teasing or anything like that?
I think I found it very hard that, you know, the Filipino squad at school wasn't really something I kicked it with because I didn't speak the language. But I was also quite what they would describe in the 90s as alternative. So that didn't resonate with them. But then they also didn't resonate with the Aussie squad that loved the sports side of things and all of that. This is why I probably had that collection of different people, because I just didn't fit in. I think my brother below me, he's probably, I think 3 or 4 years below me. He probably struggled with that a bit more than I did, because for males, it was like, you know, he didn't really know where he sat in the nationality side of things in the 90s. But he probably felt it more than me because I was, a bit more tough.
Oh, cool. Yeah, fair enough.
Touching on Aussie things, go to Aussie food.
Mm-hmm.
What is yours?
Bangers and mash.
Bangers mash.
Yeah.
And an option between sausage roll or meat pie? What do you go for?
Look, if I'm really going to a bakery, best believe I'm going for a pork roll and none of those 2.
Oh,
yes.
Yes. I love that. So your pork roll, what do you get on the pork roll?
All of it, and it has to be
standard.
the crispy pork.
You don't choose.
Yeah.
I don't like the traditional one. That's just too much. I'll go the crispy pork.
Yeah, the crispy
100%.
pork.
Yeah.
And
So you mean the 3-slice pork?
Yeah,
No,
like
that-
that's
yeah.
the traditional
The
one.
cold-
Yeah,
Yeah.
One's
yeah,
one's
the
like
cold-
grey,
never-
one's pink,
yeah.
and the other one is
Yeah.
just like
And-
We don't know what it is.
see through.
That-
It's just
that-
weird.
That circle grey one, that one always looked weird to me. So I always said, no, not that one, just the other two. And
I've
then
never
now that I'm
tried that
older,
actually.
I look at the other two. I'm like, they look nothing like pork, and the other one sort of does. What I've been eating all those years when I was younger, I don't know. But
Yeah.
with that, like, touched on your dad and accents and all that. The pork roll, like, so my old man, he used to go pork los. I'm like, what? Pork los. Is there something that sticks out with you with your parents, and you're like, what
There
the
was there was always
your dad.
a mix between whether you're saying pork or fork.
Yeah.
Pork and fork used to like fuck people up when they would come to my house. It's like, are your parents telling me to eat the pork on the table, or do I need a fork to eat? It was just all one in the same.
That's
They
funny.
want
Is
you
that,
to pork on your fork.
is that both your parents? Or is it just obviously because your mum's Australian, so...
Yeah, my mum isn't very much like a social chatty person.
Okay.
So it's usually my dad standing there, like, greeting people that have
Yeah,
something
okay.
to eat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Filipino side of
Yeah,
him, right?
definitely.
If we were to give you the choice of the two, what would it be?
I'm a 50-50.
Ah.
Depends on the moment.
It's
Yeah.
Slowly
Oh,
starting
can't.
to sway towards the sausage.
roll. Roll. I said roll.
Emphasize
It-
the sausage for a while.
sausage
You don't
roll.
have to hang
From
there.
everything that I've learnt so far, being, a bit of a fan of this podcast this far,
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
the meat pie situation, I am 100% taking the lid off and eating it with a spoon. And I don't do sauce.
You're authentic.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
No sauce for me.
Authentic.
No
Yeah.
sauce. If it's a sausage roll, I'm usually inhaling that while driving and smashing a coffee at the same time.
And you get the heartburn because
Oh,
eating it so
don't
fast, it
even
just
the
kills you. Like, oh, what the
heartburn.
fuck?
Oh yeah, I honestly
the
think
worst
that's
as
the
a banana.
worst thing.
Yeah.
That
That's why I don't like
heartburn
sausage
shit.
rolls.
Oh fuck! It's
It
the
just kills
worst.
you.
You got to eat it slow. You got to take your
Look,
time and
I haven't
enjoy
got
the sausage
experience
roll.
like you have with taking down a sausage. So
Seb's obviously slow-mo in
yeah,
that motion.
he knows the
Well,
way it
yeah,
goes.
yeah.
Savor the moment.
You have to. You never know when you're going to get your next one.
Yeah, right.
But we haven't. Do you know what? When
Till
you,
you're
when you
next at
say
the
the
bakery.
most like Australian food, if I was to sort of go, well, what resonates with me as an Aussie,
Yeah.
we used to have thinly sliced devon, and you'd go
Oh,
buy a bag
Devon.
of hot chips,
Yep.
and you would just literally smash the devon and the hot chips. And one place growing up that we used to walk to as kids was Hebo Shops, and we
Oh,
would go
yeah.
there $2 hot chips and $2 of like thinly sliced devon.
Fuck, you
And
feed
we
for a
would
week.
absolutely smash that with our group of friends.
Yeah, that's mad.
Hang
Devon.
on,
Jeez.
hang on. How can we... I'm sorry. You saw my reaction to that age. What the fuck?
Do you not eat?
Devon... Oh, Devon is disgusting, first of all.
Fuck,
Devon's
we can't
alright.
be friends anymore.
All right, but you you wrap that shit...
You put a hot chip in there. You should try it when you've got mashed
Mate,
potato
we-
inside of
we
it.
gotta add it.
Bro,
and
pigs
you
in a
fry
blanket.
it.
We have to add it on the
Wait,
list of things we have to try. We've got
Did
so
you
Hang
much.
just
on.
say add mash and fry it?
Have you not tried the fried rice that I make?
Yeah, I love your fried rice.
There's fucking Devon in it.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, there's a mixture of other stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devon is like a staple. Because for us, it's like Spam.
Yeah,
to be
spam's
honest.
good. The spam and eggs that you... Yeah.
One in the same, bro.
Nah.
Same,
One's
it's all
in the
processed
tin,
meat.
Yeah.
one's not.
Yeah, that's what the tin. It's fresher. it's more, but
But Devon is something like
But
if
you-
you were to ask anybody else growing up in
Yeah.
Australia, you'd have a Devon. I don't do a Devon and sauce sandwich, but it is quite common.
Devon
But
tomato
Devon
sauce.
hot chips
Yeah.
was always a go-to.
Devon tomato sauce in a Breville.
I like
Public
it.
service
It's the,
announcement. It's a jaffle.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
definitely.
Oh, here we
Can
go.
we,
Let's get into that.
Before we get into that,
Go.
I haven't had Devon before.
You haven't
What?
had Devon.
Haven't. So
You know what I find it is similar to like
we add it to the list.
yeah. Oh, okay. Well, you add it to your list because I've tried it, but I'm happy to try it.
No,
again.
we're gonna do it on the
yeah,
podcast.
yeah, definitely.
You need to get a good bag of hot chips and Devon and smash
I
it.
needed to have Devon and fake eggs.
Devon and
And-
fake
Oh,
eggs
fake eggs,
And-
yeah.
as a jaffle.
As a jaffle.
Oh,
Oh, there we go.
What?
Jaffle? Isn't that fucking orange? No, what's that?
Jaffa.
Oh,
Jaffa.
Yeah,
oh,
that's like a
yuck.
reddy orangey
The-
thing.
Is
Yeah.
that the lolly? Or
Yeah.
chocolate?
Yeah, it's a
Chocolate
Jaffa.
with red shit in it.
Hey,
Yeah,
you
that's
not
right.
not just that. In cricket terms, if they bowl an awesome ball that gets someone out, like beats the bat, hits the stumps, and gets them out, they're like, he bowled an absolute Jaffa. There you go. There's my.
Never heard
I know we're jumping ahead, but come back to that. Remind me. That's my favorite Aussie saying.
Oh, if I could have fallen asleep on command there, I would have. Oh, fuck.
Because it's cricket.
It would have.
All right, Krystal, let's test you out. Let's see.
Let's do
Since you're, part Aussie anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see how
So
Aussie you
You're a
are.
half caste, as you mentioned earlier. I haven't heard that in
Yeah.
a long time.
There's,
Half caste.
there's another term. If you're back home in Philippines, they call the halfies mestiza,
Mestiza. Oh, yeah.
Mestiza.
That's
which
similar
is
to...
like a white
Yeah.
lady.
in
I've heard that.
Spanish, it's mestiza is like you're a mix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The other thing they do call me back home is nosebleed because I talk so fast with an Aussie accent. I cause nosebleeds. So the whole time I was there was like, oh,
What the heck?
like they'd speak all in Tagalog and I'd just hear nosebleed. I was like, oh, they're talking about me.
Mind you, Tagalog is really fast. So, yeah.
I talk
Nosebleed.
too fast in English.
That is so
apparently.
funny.
Oh,
wow. Nosebleed.
Nice.
That's
NB.
awesome.
That's your new nickname, NB.
NB.
KS sounds better.
I did have another one that was TD, which is tone deaf because I'm the only Filipino that can't sing. So
You do love your karaoke, though.
but I can't sing.
Yeah. I don't know. Every time I've heard you sing, we've been wasted. So,
Yeah.
but you do
TD will
love
stick.
the karaoke.
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 Do you find yourself more Filipino than Aussie?
That is a really good question. I don't know what I identify more with.
It's when it suits you.
Do you know what? 100% you're right because it would depend on the dynamic because you always sort of try and assimilate and go, well, what do I, or how can I relate to you? So if I'm with those particular things. But I mean, as I've gotten older, I think because my kids are more Filipino than I am, probably Filipino.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So our little dictionary quiz is going to go a bit different. We have our audience here who have chosen 3 for you.
Ah,
Okay.
Don't know if I trust this audience.
First one.
they are pretty shady.
What do you call someone who bets on 2 flies walking up the wall? What is that? What are they?
Sitting on the fence?
So bet on 2 flies walking up the wall.
Fuck.
Bored. I don't know.
Bored?
Bored?
They got no
Seb?
wings. Why are they walking?
No.
Compulsive gambler.
Oh, okay, of course.
Yeah.
In other words,
Triggered.
they're
Thank
bored.
you.
No, you're not. You're a compulsive drinker. It's
Not triggered by me.
Ah, yeah,
I don't
was
even
gonna
know how to play those things.
Yeah.
Next one is a professional rat bag. What is that?
I was tempted, but I was like, oh, I better not.
Just say it. Just
Adrian.
funny enough, it just says my name.
He's just got a
then-
picture of you.
And then this is referred to Appendix A.
Yes.
No, so what is a professional rat bag? Professional rat bag.
Professional rat bag.
Pain in the ass.
Salesperson.
Annoying.
One who makes money out of doing weird, crazy, useless, or unproductive things.
Oh, it's not you then. No.
Next one,
Hmm.
not what you think. What is let it rip?
Let it rip. So
Oh,
it's not having a
Someone's
fart.
Just,
Yeah. Well, you said not what you think. I
no,
would
someone's
guess
just like let loose on a conversation. Let it rip. Go on, just say it.
Yeah, I would say that. Just say it.
Hmm.
Exclamation, signaling, and enthusiastic start.
Yeah.
Oh, Adrian, you're so passionate.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
let it rip.
yeah.
bitch.
Case in point.
Let
Let
it
it
rip.
rip.
He's a
Let-
ripper. He's
Yeah.
absolutely a
He's
ripper.
You bloody ripper.
Is that all of them?
That's it. We just had 3.
Let's do a random.
Random.
Go random.
You ready?
Pick.
Stop.
Esther.
Duva. What's a duva?
Ah.
It's a blanket or a quilt.
It's the penis.
Oh,
No,
The first one I saw, yeah, the duva.
I am definitely not describing him.
D-O-O-V-E-R. Duva.
That
Just says
oh,
penis.
duvet. A duvet. That's an American way of saying.
Yeah, I have this argument with one of my good friends, and he's English.
Yeah.
Around like duvet, quilt, duvet. I was like, it's a fucking blanket.
It's a blanket.
Yeah, blanket,
it's a
100%.
fucking
It's a
blanket.
blanket, and sometimes it has a cover, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
You either have a sheet or a blanket. That's it.
Yeah, that's
Nothing
it. There's
else.
no in
What are all
between.
these fucking options?
Fucking
No.
duvet, comforter.
No.
What's another one?
No.
Yeah, comfort.
Throw. Isn't it like throw?
Throw.
Throw.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Throw. No. It's you're right. It's either a sheet
Or a
blanket.
blanket.
or a blanket. Yeah.
Maybe occasionally, if I'm feeling fancy, I might say quilt.
Ah, quilt. Of course.
Nah.
Isn't
What
the
about-
quilt
Oh,
go,
so that's
doesn't the
too
quilt go
fancy.
on top of the
Bit
blanket?
pretentious, right?
Yeah.
Like the
Okay.
covering?
Non-ESL.
Now we're going to the main theme of this series, Mother's Day. What does Mother's Day mean to you?
Sometimes, you know what? a couple of years ago, I'd say Mother's Day kind of felt like a big obligation for me to
Right.
make sure all the other mothers were sorted.
Mm-hmm.
Recent years, Mother's Day for me is like my time out. Like I
Yeah,
can actually
nice.
switch off and sleep in, and it's about me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, prior to the last couple of years, it was a big obligation for me. It's like be everywhere, see everyone, because I have so many mothers and grandmothers that were still around. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess so. It's good, changing it up. It is about you,
Yeah.
and take that time aside for yourself.
Any funny stories about being a mum?
A lot, because my kids can be cooked sometimes.
Your kids are freaking hilarious.
Look, I did say to Lydia this week, please tell Seb don't get his shotgun out because my son started texting your daughter. on
Nah,
Messenger.
of course not.
Funny stories about being
I'll stab
a
him
mum.
though.
Oh God, funny stories about being a mum.
It's gotta be
I don't know,
something.
because my kids are quite hilarious. So every day with them, I find
Oh,
myself
man,
going,
that's
"Oh
good.
my God, did they just say that?"
They
Oh,
are
actually,
characters.
my birth with my first. I have my youngest brother who was gay, like, come into the room I was like laboring, and I was so gassed up, and I was like, he's never gonna experience this. Bring him here, and I brought him in. And said, rub my feet, because the whole thing, like, every time I've given birth is like someone needs to like put pressure on my feet. Wrong position when you're giving birth. The poor child. And at that time, I think he was probably about 17 at the time.
God.
But I was screaming for him to be there. And mind you, my other younger brother that I'm quite close to had been there the whole time waiting, all of that. I didn't see him. He was sleeping in the weight room. But yet my brother who arrives, I was like, bring him in. He needs to experience this. I think I traumatized him. But I find that quite funny because we still tell this story that he's had to deal with my firstborn, like crowning while rubbing my feet. He didn't like vagina then. I don't think he likes it now. I love you, Christian.
That's fucking.
I'm glad it was a funny story.
That was.
All right, so we touched on something on my wife's episode. So Latins have a saying, which is sana sana,
Ah, yes.
where it heals everything. It's a magical little rhyme, or I don't know, saying, whatever it is. To heal. Is there anything that the Filipinos have
Besides
That-
Vicks.
besides Vicks?
That's fixed.
something like that that's common that you've heard through your childhood, say from your dad, when
Anytime
it most.
anybody got hurt or their feelings were like, something was happening, they fucking applaud.
Ah, yeah.
what?
They absolutely applaud. Like, your kid falls off the bike, yay!
Yeah.
Or it's
Oh,
like,
they're trying to palm it
something-
off?
Yeah, yeah. Instead
Like-
of going, yeah.
My family in particular, I don't know if it's all Filipinos, but humor was always the escape from any pain,
Right, yeah,
whether it's
yeah.
physical, mental. Humor was always the way to kind of heal through it. So they don't particularly have a saying, but fuck, do they applaud when someone's in pain?
So
Best believe they
kid
clap
falls
in
off the
hands.
bike, cracks the skull
That's
open,
funny
you point and
as.
laugh,
Oh,
basically.
legit, that's
Yeah,
happened. And
love it.
yep, the
Oh,
humor was
what
there.
the-
That's brilliant.
funny.
Yeah.
That's fucking
awesome.
brilliant.
Yeah. Every single fall or
Yeah.
even mistake in life that anyone's made on my philo side of the family, it was either met with an applaud or a really humorous comment straight after it.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
What about, say, your mum's side? So obviously you've got the
Yep.
two sides. So is there anything on your mum's side that you can think of that is
Um,
any different, or probably nothing at all?
No, I mean, they were quite conservative for the most part, unless they were throwing down some beers. No, not really, because my mum very much was, like, her first husband was Chinese, and it was at a very young age. So she grew up in their kind of culture and things like that. And then she'd met my dad. So for her, she's very embedded in the Asian culture. Like, now that she's married to an Australian, like, third time lucky, like, she is struggling to understand that culture.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Even though that's what she's been born and raised,
Yeah.
because she's been from an early age, probably from 16.
She assimilated as Asian.
Yeah, very much. That's
Mm,
why
that's
I
pretty
said
cool.
my request needs to be my mum had a thing for Asians in the 80s, because she legitimately did.
Asians in the 80s.
Yeah.
A to the 8.
That's the opposite, right? Isn't like
That's actually something that people often say when they realize that I'm half. They automatically assume that my mum's the Filipino lady that, happened to meet somebody.
Mail order bride.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Like it is definitely. And when and it's interesting because all of my uncles, or majority of them, have married Australian women.
Yeah, it's very different. It's opposite side.
Yeah.
All right.
Got plenty of
Favorite
those.
segment of the podcast. We have our new Aussie sayings or Aussie jokes. Our guest, Krystal, do you have any Aussie jokes, Aussie sayings?
Look, I'm a big user of the C word. Oh,
It's all right.
yes, actually, I do have one.
What's that? Crumpets.
So it's definitely what we used to call in the 90s AO. Does anyone remember AO?
Adults only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like MA.
Yeah.
The term being loose as a wizard sleeve.
That's pretty loose. That's pretty
good.
loose.
That's pretty loose.
That's
That's
good.
pretty loose.
It's like the hot dog down the hallway.
This one's better.
That's brilliant.
That's awesome. Seb,
I've
do you have
got-
one? Oh, sorry.
I've got a word
Go.
that I've used a lot and I didn't even know.
Hmm.
Well, I love the word grot. Fucking grot.
Oh,
Yes.
Grot,
Love
yeah.
it.
I used to hear that all the time, you grot.
It must be
And
the
grok.
G word for you.
It's the
Yeah,
G.
he likes
Gronk.
the
The
G.
GRO.
Yeah.
The gronk.
Yeah.
Grot.
Yeah.
Growth. We'll just stop there, mate. All right.
Yeah, fair enough.
Seb, do you got one?
Yeah, I've got one. It's a joke I heard recently and fuck, it cracked me up. I went to the doctor the other day and he told me I had to stop masturbating.
Yeah.
And I said, why? And he said, because I'm trying to examine you. I heard that. I fucking lost my shit. When I
I
heard
was
that.
waiting to go true story, bro.
I'm serious. I heard it because it happened.
That reminded me of another one.
Go.
Okay, it's true.
So the other day I read an article about how dangerous heavy drinking is. So that's it from now on. No more reading.
Irrelevant.
What about you, Dougie?
All right. What's the difference between an Australian wedding and an Australian funeral?
What?
There's one less drunk in the funeral.
You get it?
All right. Well, let's close that up here, guys. Thanks, Krystal.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much
For
for
having
joining
me.
in,
Amazing.
for sharing your story. It was much appreciated.
It was.
Very interesting, very insightful.
Yes, thank
As
you.
always, make sure you give us a like, listen, and follow on Instagram, Amigas Down Under Podcast. Send us a message on anything you want us to talk about on the show. Any questions, any jokes, any sayings. We're always on our socials, so get amongst it, and we'll get back to you.
That's right. And remember, tune in for the next episode. We've got a really, really good guest coming up. Can't wait to interview and go through their fun stories.
Yeah, thank you. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.